welcome the Reverend Bobby Kilgore, who will be speaking to us today about aging and spirituality. Lovely to have you as always.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone online, everyone here in person. Yay. So I had a conversation with a friend of mine that I have lunch with, and it got on this topic. And she said, that would make a really good topic for the fellowship. I'm like, that sounds good to me. So we start by being born. I'm sorry, it happens to all of us. And as we're raised as children, should we make it to adulthood, we typically practice whatever the faith and spirituality is of our parents. For me, I grew up in an Episcopal church, very active in the church as an acolyte, lay leader, lay Eucharistic minister. But, they wanted me to be a priest, but at the time I was like, okay, I'll go to deacon school. So they sent me to Orlando to Cathedral, St. Luke, full scholarship. And we got to the history of the church, and I came across writings that they said I couldn't read because they weren't approved by the church. So I had to question my spirituality and my faith. And I left the Episcopal Church, found my way into the Unitarian Universalist Church. But as we grow, we have experiences of death, our pets, our family members, our friends. I lost a friend of mine in third grade. He had, for whatever reason, put a rope around his neck and went on for a ride on his dirt bike, and it got caught in the spindle. And that was my first real experience with losing somebody and death. So when we have spirituality, spiritual practices, and faith, it helps us in times of trouble, and we rejoice in times of joy. But sometimes as we age and we go through life, the experiences we have changes our spirituality and our faith and our belief systems. Does that really work for me still today with this loss or with whatever I'm dealing with? For example, I was just telling Beth yesterday, I have teenagers that come over to my house, and I forgot that with the septic system and teenagers, you can have problems. So I had problems. And so the toilet backed up. I've got to get the septic tank pumped out today. But there was joy in that because of I still have the teenagers coming over. So, but our spiritual beliefs are a foundation for us. And again, we fall back upon our practices and our faith in times of trouble, in times of need, times of hurricanes coming. And when it doesn't work for us, we start looking for another faith, another spirituality. So a lot of people say, well, what about atheists? Well, they have their own, believe it or not, spirituality. I gave a talk about connecting to the sacred, and a dear friend of mine from the Cocoa Church Fellowship comes up to me and says, Barbara, now I'm a scientist. I said, yes, I do. I'm an atheist. I said, yes, I do. So how can I connect to the sacred? I said, do you really want me to answer that? He goes, yes. I said, okay, have a seat. I said, you bought your condo on the river, right? Yes. Your glass doors face the river, right? Yes. And I said, you built a dock out over the water, right? Yes. And every morning you get your cup of coffee, you go out to the dock, you sit there and you watch all the wildlife and you listen to the waves lapping at the shore and you watch the sunrise, right? He goes, yeah. I said, how does that make you feel? Peaceful. Tranquil. I said, that's your sacred. That is your sacred. So in times of trouble, in times of need, times of joy, when we have a foundation of some type of a spirituality, it aids us. Because as we go through life, we experience loss of a job, loss of a home, loss of family and friends, pets. Our pets are our family. They're kittens, especially. I mean, they're everything to us. They're our children. Rats, my pet rats, yes. But when we lose them, we grieve. And when we grieve, we typically fall back on whatever our spirituality is, our faith practices is, for a foundation for that grieving. Also guides us in any type of ceremonies and burial practices that we have for the dead, whether it be rats, dogs, cats, friends, family. As we age, if we're lucky enough to reach old age, because a lot of people don't, as we know, we tend to mellow in our spirituality and our faith. We become comfortable with it. I don't practice as much as I used to in rituals and things like that, but I have my faith, especially when there's a football game on. Oh, good energy to this team, good energy to this team. Make that field goal. May your ball fly true to the U. You know, and sometimes my teams win, yay. Sometimes they don't, boo. But, it's like the storm is coming. Okay. My neighbor and I both happen to be pagan. And we both have this ceremony we do when the storms are coming, when you walk outside with your dagger and you talk to the elements, especially air, and you ask the storm to go where it wants to, but please no harm to my house. You put the athame or dagger in the ground, and you leave it there throughout the storm. Well, the last hurricane we did that with, it was coming up the East Coast, went around Brevard County and continued up the East Coast. So, there might be something there. But, I really encourage you as you go through different stages of life and you go through challenges, difficulties, joys, concerns, fall back on your faith, whatever that faith is. And so I said, well, what about atheists? I said, well, they have family, they have friends, they have the fellowship to support them. I said, that can be their spiritual support. So any questions or comments?